The doctor saw my blood work, turned pale, and begged me to get a divorce. The nurse smiled when she drew my blood. 10 minutes later, my doctor looked like she'd seen a ghost. I was there for something simple: fatigue, nausea, random bruising. Newly married, busy, stressed. That was the assumption. My husband, Caleb, insisted I get checked. "You've been off lately," he said gently that morning. "Just make sure everything's fine." He kissed my forehead before I left. Concerned, attentive, perfect. The exam room was quiet when Dr. Henley walked back in. Too quiet. She didn't sit immediately. She closed the door first, then locked it. A small click. Sharp. "Is your husband with you today?" she asked. "No, he's at work." "Why?" She studied my chart, then my face, then the chart again. "Before I continue," she said carefully, "I need to know if you feel safe at home." My heart skipped. "Yes," I said automatically. "Of course." She swallowed. "Your blood work shows repeated micro-exposure to a compound that should not be in your system." I blinked. "What kind of compound?" She hesitated. "An anti-fertility agent." The word didn't process. "I'm sorry, what?" "It's a synthetic hormone suppressant used in certain medical treatments, sometimes in chemical sterilization protocols." The air left my lungs. "I'm trying to conceive," I said slowly. "We've been trying for 8 months." She nodded once. This level of exposure would make conception nearly impossible. I stared at her. "That doesn't make sense." She turned the monitor toward me. Lab values highlighted. Repeated patterns over months. "This is not environmental contamination," she said quietly. "This is consistent dosing." "Dosing? Like medication?" "Are you taking any supplements?" she asked. "Yes, Caleb orders vitamins online. We both take them." "What kind?" "Just fertility support, immune boosters, nothing extreme." She leaned back slightly. "Do you administer your own supplements?" "No, he fills our weekly pill organizer. He likes routines." Silence flooded the room. Dr. Henley pressed her lips together. "I need you to understand how serious this is," she said softly. "Someone has been introducing a fertility-suppressing compound into your system over an extended period." My vision blurred. "That's not possible." She didn't argue. Instead, she said something that made my chest tighten instantly. "You need to consider separating yourself from your husband immediately." The word husband felt foreign. "Why would you say that?" I whispered. "Because," she said carefully, "the compound detected is not available over the counter. It requires sourcing through specialized labs. It's rarely used outside controlled environments." Caleb worked in biotech procurement. He handled lab acquisitions. He had clearance accounts. He had access. "No," I said quickly. "You don't know him." "I don't," she agreed, "but I know what's in your bloodstream." The click of the lock earlier suddenly felt louder in my memory. "Do not confront him yet. We need confirmatory testing, and I need to document this properly." My hands were shaking. "We were about to start fertility treatment next month," I whispered. She froze. "What clinic?" I told her. She inhaled sharply. "That clinic has an affiliated research wing, and your husband's employer supplies them." The room tilted. This could escalate legally. Reproductive manipulation, chemical interference, potential criminal exposure. I couldn't breathe. I drove home in silence. When I walked in, Caleb was at the stove, smiling. "Hey," he said warmly. "How'd it go?" I studied him. Perfect posture, perfect tone, perfect concern. "Normal," I said. He nodded. "Good. I refilled your vitamins." That night, when he fell asleep, I slipped into the kitchen. I opened the pill organizer. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Small white capsules. I opened one. Powder inside. No label, no markings, no smell. I pulled out my phone. I turned on the flashlight, and underneath the organizer, I saw something I had never noticed before. A small, resealable lab envelope with a printed code and my name. My name was printed neatly on the lab envelope. Not handwritten, not casual, official. Beneath it was a serial number and a barcode. I stared at it for a full 10 seconds before touching it. Inside were 3 sealed microvials, clear liquid, each labeled with a chemical abbreviation I didn't recognize, but I didn't need to. I already knew what my blood showed. Consistent dosing. I pulled out my phone and took photos. Front, back, barcode. Then I placed everything exactly where I found it. Precision matters. That night, I barely slept. Caleb's arm rested across my waist like it always did. Warm, familiar. My mind kept replaying the doctor's words: chemical interference, microdosing, reproductive suppression. Morning came quietly. He kissed my shoulder before getting out of bed. "I might be late tonight," he said. "Inventory audit at the lab." Inventory audit. I nodded. Okay. After he left, I called Dr. Henley. "I've found something," I said. I described the envelope, the vials, the labeling. She was silent for a moment. "Bring one," she said carefully, "but do not let him know you're testing it." I took one vial, left the others undisturbed. At the clinic, the sample was sent for urgent toxicology confirmation. While we waited, she asked me something that made my stomach turn. "Has your husband ever expressed hesitation about children?" "No," I said immediately. "He wanted them." "Wanted them when?" The question lingered. "In theory," I admitted quietly. Whenever I brought up timelines, he'd suggest waiting, saving more, stabilizing careers, optimizing life. But publicly, he talked about future baby names, posted about one day on social media. He loved the image of family, just not the reality timeline. Dr. Henley returned 2 hours later. Her expression confirmed everything before she spoke. "It's the same compound," she said softly, concentrated. My chest tightened. "How long?" "Based on your blood levels, likely 6 to 8 months. 8 months. The exact length of time we'd been trying. "He did this on purpose," I whispered. "Yes." The word landed heavily. "Why?" I asked. She didn't speculate. "I recommend you consult both a divorce attorney and law enforcement, quietly." I drove home with a stillness I didn't recognize in myself. No panic, no tears, just clarity. That evening, Caleb walked in carrying takeout. "Celebration dinner," he smiled. "I booked our fertility consult for next week." My skin went cold. "You did?" I asked evenly. "Yeah, we'll get answers, figure out why it's not happening." He looked proud, helpful, supportive. I watched him set the food down, watched him pour wine, watched him play the part flawlessly. "How long have you had access to hormone suppressants?" I asked casually. His hand froze mid-pour. "What?" I added lightly. "For work." "Oh, years," he said, relaxing slightly. "Why?" "Just curious." He shrugged. "Most of that stuff's controlled, not something you mess with." Not something you mess with, except in your own wife's bloodstream. That night, after he fell asleep, I opened his laptop. Company portal, procurement logs, restricted compounds database, search history. One entry caught my eye. Compound ID HSF27. Access request approved. Reason research sample validation. Requested by C. Mercer, my husband. Timestamped 9 months ago. There was a linked internal note. Personal testing, do not escalate. My throat tightened. Personal testing. On me. I scrolled further. There was a second file attached. Confidential, employee medical authorization waiver. Signed. Not by him, by me. My signature. Forged. Dated the same week we started trying. Footsteps creaked in the hallway. The bedroom door handle moved slightly, and I realized he was standing outside. The bedroom door didn't open, but it didn't move away either. I slowly closed the laptop halfway. "Caleb?" I called softly. A pause. "Yeah?" His voice sounded normal, calm, almost sleepy. "Did you need something?" "No, just getting water." His footsteps faded down the hallway. I didn't breathe properly until I heard the kitchen faucet turn off. He didn't come back to the door. He had been listening. That was the moment something inside me changed. Not fear, strategy. The next morning, I called an attorney. Quiet consultation. Private. I emailed screenshots to a new encrypted account. Procurement logs. Forged waiver. Compound ID. Timestamps. By noon, my lawyer said the words clearly. This is criminal. Not messy marriage drama, not miscommunication. Assault. Premeditated, documented. I didn't cry. I asked one question. How do we make sure he doesn't destroy evidence? Preservation notice sent to his employer, court order request drafted, Dr. Henley documented medical harm formally. Everything moved quietly, controlled, just like his dosing had been. That evening, Caleb came home with flowers. White roses, my favorite. "I've been thinking about us," he said gently. That almost made me laugh. "Me too," I replied. He studied my face a little longer than usual. "You seem different." "I'm tired," I said. Not a lie. He hugged me, held me tight, almost possessive. "I love you," he whispered. I felt nothing. No warmth, just calculation. That night, I placed a small voice recorder under the dining table. Old habit from my corporate days. He didn't notice. At dinner, I asked carefully measured questions. "You ever worry about what's wrong with me?" I said, swirling wine. "Of course," he replied instantly. "But what if it's not me?" I asked. He smiled, gentle, patient. "Then we figure it out together." I leaned forward slightly. "You'd tell me if something was affecting my hormones, right?" His jaw tightened for less than a second. Micro expression. Then it vanished. "Why would I know that?" "You work with this stuff." Silence lingered too long. "Don't go down conspiracy rabbit holes," he said lightly. "Stress isn't good for fertility." Deflection. Classic. I changed topics. He relaxed. Later that week, police contacted him at work. Discreetly, professionally. Not dramatic, just enough to freeze assets and devices. He came home early, face drained. "What did you do?" he demanded. Not what did I do, what did you do? "I found the envelope," I said calmly. Silence. His composure cracked. "You weren't supposed to see that." There it was. Not denial, not confusion, frustration at being caught. "Why?" I asked quietly. His breathing grew sharper. "You're not stable enough for a child. Your anxiety, your stress, you panic over everything." I stared at him. "You drugged me." "I protected us," he said. Protected by forging my signature, by suppressing my body, by controlling my future. He took a step closer. "You wouldn't have understood." That sentence echoed in my mind. The justification of every manipulator. You wouldn't understand. "I don't get to decide what I do with my body," I said. His voice dropped lower. "You're overreacting. It wasn't permanent." 8 months, not permanent. Just temporary ownership of my biology. Police knocked 20 minutes later. He didn't resist, didn't argue. He only looked at me once. Not angry, almost disappointed, as if I'd failed a test. Divorce proceedings moved fast after criminal charges were filed. His company terminated him, medical license revoked, civil suit pending. My hormone levels returned to normal within months. My cycles regulated. My body was mine again. The first time I saw a positive pregnancy test almost a year later, I sat on the bathroom floor and laughed. Not because I needed a baby to heal, but because I had my choice back, and that was everything. He thought he was smarter, more rational, more capable of deciding what my life should look like. But here's the truth. The most dangerous betrayal isn't loud. It's clinical, calculated, signed in your name. If someone controlled your body for your own good, would you recognize it? Or would you thank them for protecting you? Trust your instincts, protect your autonomy, and never ignore a doctor who turns pale. If this story made you feel something, shock, anger, relief, subscribe and share, because sometimes the quietest marriages hide the darkest secrets.